I take the car, bus, bike, or L. Wait, what's an L? Today we're talking about transportation in Chicago right damn now. Hello, it's Anantioris, your eXp Realty realtor serving the city of Chicago and surrounding neighborhoods. And before we get into today's topic, why don't you consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, Living in Chicago, Illinois, where I produce helpful videos for relocating buyers, such as transportation in Chicago, cost of living in Chicago, and where to live in Chicago, just to name a few. So today's video is transportation in Chicago. And if you haven't seen it yet, I produced a video right here. A card is coming up. Moving to Chicago, Illinois, 5 things you absolutely must know. And number 1 on that list is transportation. You need to know kind of how to get around before you kind of determine where you want to live. And the first mode of transportation I'm going to discuss is the car. Now, having a car isn't all puppies and rainbows. There's a lot of maintenance involved and, of course, traffic that you have to deal with if you absolutely have to have a car. Now, remember, you need to get your driver's license within 90 days. And I'm not really going to discuss the costs associated. If you go right here, I have a very helpful video, part of my cost of living in Chicago playlist, and I talk about the car. Go ahead and check that out. For the purpose of this video, we're just talking about getting around. So when you're trying to park around, if you don't have your own parking, of course there is street parking. And how it works here in Chicago is when you get your City of Chicago sticker, you can get a little permit sticker, which is additional $25. Again, that cost of living Chicago video has that information. And once you stick that on there, you're able to park on the street without getting a ticket. So that's definitely something you should probably want to get. If you don't have that little sticker, you can get daily passes, but I would recommend that's more for your guests or if your parents are coming to visit you. Okay? Now, all around on the major thoroughfares and major residential streets, you know, the city has contracted with Park Chicago. They're the private vendor. It's a 75-year lease where you have to pay. And I recommend you download the Park Chicago app. In that app, you can easily pay. All you have to do is put in the zone number. There's thousands of zones all throughout Chicago. Typically, it's going to be about $2 an hour in 2-hour increments. In some areas of the city, you can park for up to 3 hours. Okay? Any questions, you can comment below, and I'll actually probably have a graphic going here and also have the link in the description. So that's car for number 1 to know in transportation of Chicago. Number 2, the Metra. Metra is actually short for Metropolitan Rail, and it is the Metropolitan Rail Authority, the Regional Transportation Authority runs it. And Metra is, you know, if you have that car, and let's say, for example, you are living in the city, but you work out in the suburbs, the great thing about the Metra, for short, is they have train lines that go from the city all the way throughout to all the surrounding suburbs. Now, it's not all suburbs, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a link in the lower third of this video which will describe how the pricing structure is. Again, in my cost of living Chicago, I went a little bit more in depth, but take a look at that link and you can kind of see, because it's really it's all zone-based pricing. So that's the Metro, a super convenient way to get from the city to the suburbs and back to the city. So I highly, highly recommend you, if you don't really need that car, get rid of it, save the money, and use the Metro. Now, next in mode of rail is the CTA. You remember I said the L in the beginning? No, that's short for elevated. In parts of Chicago, the train system is, of course, on elevated tracks. Now, that's not everything, because you're going to notice as you're kind of getting around and exploring Chicago, there's also subways. But that's what we call it, L, the letter L for short. Now, that is, of course, operated by CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. There are 8 major lines, and I'll have a graphic going here that kind of gives a map. I do recommend you go into the link, look at each of the lines so you can kind of get an understanding of how they work, and they're all color coded. And of course, in my cost of living video, I go through the costs. The L is great. The L is what I did. So before I was a professional realtor, I was in the corporate world, and actually I would take one of the train lines called the Blue Line. I've also taken the Red Line to and from where I would live. 15-20 minutes. It can get a little crowded, but again, it's super convenient, and you don't necessarily need a car if you're able to work, you know, in the downtown area or surrounding area and living in that neighborhood. So that is the CTA. All right, bike. As I've mentioned before, if you've seen my a couple of my other videos, there's some people. I think right now it's like 25 degrees. I mean, there's people that ride their bike to work. I mean, that's hardcore. That's really hardcore. You can absolutely have a bike, your own bike. I have discussed in the cost of living video Divvy. If you want to go ahead and see that cost of living video, I mentioned Divvy, operated by Motivate. Those are the contract. You'll see the blue bikes all around. A lot of people use that more for recreation. I'd probably recommend you purchase, if that's something that you want to do. There's so many bike shops all throughout Chicago. Buy a bike, it's a lot easier. But you can absolutely use the bike. So that's another mode. The great thing is Chicago's done a really good job. It is a little controversial, but they've done a really good job of basically reducing the car lanes to accommodate bike lanes. So I personally feel that's really good. I mean, we all have to share the roads, and obviously I need to look out for. I've got a 3,000-pound machine. You got to look out for the bikers. So it's good that on a lot of those major streets, they have made dedicated bike lanes. So it just makes it super convenient to get around city, and Chicago is such a bike-friendly, city. You should definitely take advantage of that. And finally, trains, planes, and automobiles. Right? That great movie with Candy. Airports. We are served by two major airports, which basically makes us the heartbeat of the good old US of A. That is O'Hare and Midway airports. With the advent of rideshare, I personally just take the Lyft. It's so much easier. But the great thing is, if you don't want to, foot a bill for the rideshare, which could be, it's anywhere from $25 to $35, and in peak time, it's even more than that. The great thing about the L, I mentioned that Blue Line. Actually, Blue Line goes all the way to O'Hare. So if you happen to live within a couple of block radius of the Blue Line, just take the Blue Line to O'Hare. And servicing Chicago Midway is the Orange Line, which you can pick up in the downtown area. So for example, if you're going to go visit friends or go on trips, pack your bag, weekend trip, and go to, jump on the train, and you can head out over to Midway. So that's transportation in a nutshell. I hope you found this information beneficial. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Living in Chicago, Illinois, I am Anant Dioris with eXp Realty, serving the Chicago and its neighborhoods. If you have any questions at all, feel free to comment or reach out to me via email or cell. That information is below in the description. Have a wonderful day.